Present.
Dr. Ogres.
Present.
Mr. Grove.
Present.
Mr. LaFurla.
Present.
Mr. McGlade.
Present.
And Mr. Kazire.
Present. It's on. It's on. As you are able, would you please rise with me and recognize our moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up is our approval of our agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move approval of our agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve our agenda. All in favor? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed, same side. And you can also vote on your device as well.
Oh, okay.
Next up before us is the approval of our minutes of the regular board meeting on November 28th, 2017. Do we have a motion?
Move approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting of November 28th, 2017.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve our minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote to approve our minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And our minutes have been approved. Now is the time for public participation. I don't have any notes in front of me saying that anybody has written in, but this is a time for the public to address the board. Doesn't have to be anything on our agenda, but if you have a topic that you would like to address the board, please take your position at the podium and state your name and address, and you would be given 3 minutes of our time. Seeing no one, we will move then to our superintendent's report, which involves our 2017-2020 academic plan.
Thank you, Mr. Kozar. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Vorthman to come to the podium. He is going to present tonight our 2017-2020 academic plan. I am really excited about the work that Dr. Vorthman and his team has done. He has met with teachers. He has also met with principals and gotten a lot of feedback. So I think you'll be real delighted in his presentation tonight. So Dr. Vorthman, the floor is yours.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's my pleasure tonight to bring to you the 2017-2020 academic plan for the Council Bluffs Community School District. Before I begin tonight, I want to thank Dr. Murillo for pushing us to think very strategically about how we can set concrete, measurable goals to make sure that we're monitoring the progress in the academic division, as well as Diane and her team, Daniel and the communications department for helping put together the brochure that you have tonight, which outlines the 6 key goals that I'm going to share. The academic plan is a long-range roadmap that will guide the teaching and learning department, our buildings, our teacher leaders, our leadership teams, to help set academic goals, to help us develop improvement plans, monitor the implementation of those plans, make adjustments, and celebrate growth along the way. This plan is really under the umbrella of both the strategic plan, which you know was passed in 2013, as well as supported by the superintendent's post-100-day plan. And you'll see specific references tonight to several of the superintendent's post-100-day goals. And then the academic plan sits underneath of both of them as support. As Dr. Murillo alluded to earlier, this plan was shared and based on data and conversations that occurred in the School Improvement Advisory Committee. as well as input that came from the superintendent's listening and learning tour, conversations with teacher leaders, building principals, curriculum specialists, the teaching and learning department, which really, to be honest with you, started with a list of about 20 goals and has been vetted down to these 6 that I'm going to share with you tonight. So the first goal that we are going to work on over the course of the next 3 years is increasing academic achievement. And you'll notice that in the superintendent's post 100-day plan, that aligns with her goal too. Specifically, we operationalized the superintendent's goal by increasing academic achievement in math and reading by 4% each year. And so our goal is by 2020 to increase reading proficiency as measured by our FAST assessment to 71% proficient in grades K through 3, and to increase our math proficiency as measured by the 8th grade math Iowa assessment to 76% by 2020. Secondly, as also related to the superintendent's post 100-day plan goal 3, we will plan to expand early childhood opportunities and increase preschool enrollment for all 4-year-olds to 560 by 2020. And you can see from the chart there that means that we really have to increase about 70 students each year till 2020, and 560 was chosen because that is our projected universal point for 4-year-old preschool. The third goal is to provide high quality core instruction in every classroom. And the research around high quality core instruction is very clear. It's supported by the initiative from the Iowa Department of Education. And what we promise to do is to provide protected instructional time in every classroom, make sure that teachers have a firm and comfortable and confident understanding of the standards and curricula that are passed, that are supported by the teaching and learning department, that we implement research-based instructional practices in every one of our classrooms, supported by high-quality instructional materials, that we exercise assessment for learning and monitor students' needs, and that we collaborate with each other in order to build an entire system of capacity by which we grow students. Goal 4 challenges us to increase students' positive self-perception of social and emotional learning. If you recall the presentation that I shared with you in the spring of 2017 around the profile of a future-ready graduate, you'll see the 5 indicators mirror those that are in the profile of a future-ready graduate. Our goal is to increase to 80% positive students' perception of their own self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making as measured by the Panorama Social and Emotional Learning Indicator Survey. Goal 5 is to guarantee that all graduates are future ready. And we heard a great deal about this at the Community Education Foundation Education is Everyone's Business luncheon when the Lieutenant Governor shared the governor's vision for a future ready Iowa. And I'm proud to say that we are well on the way to achieving that goal. There are 3 specific subcategories underneath of this goal 5. The first is to increase the number of seniors graduating with both a high school and a post-secondary endorsement to 50 by 2020. Secondly, we would like to increase by 20% the number of students earning a National Career Readiness Certificate. And lastly, we'd like to increase by 20% the number of seniors who earn concurrent credit while still in high school. Goal 6 aligns directly to the strategic plan, strategic goal 5, to make post-secondary inescapable for all students. And there are 2 sub-goals within this one as well. The first is to increase post-secondary enrollment rates by 11% by 2020. That bold goal will get us to 60% post-secondary enrollment by the year 2020. Secondly, we would like to increase the post-secondary degree completion rate by 7% by 2020, which would mean for the class of 2014, we would stretch to 30% of our students receiving a degree within 6 years of graduation. We are proud to bring you this academic plan. We believe that it will provide both the focus and vision that we need to remain committed and engaged around the 6 most important priorities in the academic division. You can be assured that we will be bringing you regular updates on our progress, and we are very transparent with the measures that we've chosen so that we will be able to see the academic needle move in the Council Bluffs Community School District over the next 3 years. I would welcome any questions that you might have tonight.
What questions do we have, Jill? You look like you're ready for a question to be asked.
I think it's great. We have a goal for high school diploma and associate's degree. I just worry about the students that are also involved in other activities, that it's going to be very difficult for them to fit that into their schedule.
Sure.
And to allow them the freedom to have those activities, whether it be academic or sports or arts, or because I want them to be kids too, but
Absolutely.
But I understand that there's a need that some may not want that, and that they want to receive the associate's degree. I just worry about those that may want both and they're not going to be able to fit it in their schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how.
Our goal is really to provide multiple opportunities and avenues for lots of kids. And I still stand behind the fact that we have fantastic comprehensive high schools that provide great opportunities for kids to earn college credit at Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln. We also know that there are students who may be ready to earn, like 2 students who are starting the Early College Academy in January to earn welding certificates.
Mm-hmm.
There are students who have earned a CNA at the Tucker Center and are ready to do the 2-year medical program, and that suits them. However, this program, the Early College Academy, is not for all students. And while we want to continue to provide opportunities for kids to continue to be attached to their home high school, to participate in speech or soccer or orchestra while they're at the Early College Academy, it may not be the right fit for all students. So, but if we don't provide the opportunity, it will be missed by some students who would have benefited from it.
Yeah, I have do we have feedback from students or employers on NCRC? I was a little surprised to see that as a goal, just because in 2012, 13, 14, you seem to hear a lot about it, but I don't hear much about it anymore. And I'm just wondering if, do employers find it to be a valuable credential, or do students get value out of that?
I can speak from the Council Bluffs Community School District. We recognize it as a credential.
Okay.
For paraeducators. It's one of the ways in which they become qualified for some of our positions. I think what it does is it provides a value add beyond the traditional high school transcript, especially for students who can demonstrate specific skills and competencies in career and technical education. So for us, it's another way for us to evaluate how skilled students are becoming as a result of the programs that they're attending in Council Bluffs schools. As you recall, I believe last year we had 2 platinum students, which is the highest, and to have 2 is amazing. And we are also using, starting a Skills USA chapter, which is going to help provide opportunities for students to demonstrate those skills, and then use the NCRC as kind of that seal that they've done something significant in their career and technical education.
Okay.
Well, I have 3 questions. But before that, I think this really looks good. It's a nice roadmap. And the other thing
Diane
is,
and her team, they really worked hard on making it look
well, but
perfect.
the concepts behind it, I mean, the document looks good too, but I'm talking about the intent.
Thank you.
It really is a step towards accountability.
Absolutely.
And year by year, I assume we'll be looking at the progress and we'll say yes or no, we met it, or if not, we'll have to modify. But my first question is, what percentage of the teachers had input on this?
We used our, well, there were many teachers who came to the superintendent's listening tour, and that's where many of the original ideas actually came from on things that we needed to focus on. We also used our teacher leaders to help provide input on things that were most important to them. We used our curriculum specialists in all of both our core and non-core content areas to provide feedback. And then we used our building principals as well. This plan is really focused on providing building teams some very clear goals for which they can operationalize. We don't intend on telling them what is the best way for Abraham Lincoln or the best way for Rue to get to these goals. We will provide a high accountability and high support for what they choose, but we don't intend on making this plan to be a cookie cutter or a boilerplate for every building.
And I might add on to that, Dr. Vorthman. One of the things that I've talked with the board about is getting more feedback from staff and community. And so in working with Mr. Leaders, who's here with us, our union president, is we talked last time, and I'm going to, you all know I'm starting the superintendent's roundtable with representatives of all levels. But the other piece that we've talked about that we're going to push out in January, we don't have a name for it, but it's kind of like a teacher town hall meeting. And what we want to have is our teachers from both feeder school patterns come together in January and really to update the post 100 days and then to roll out and get really feedback around the academic plan. Because it's hard for all teachers to have input. And we do want our teacher leaders and our curriculum specialists roll back to schools, but I want to provide a time for our teachers in the classroom that don't live in one of those key leadership roles to have time to talk. And so that is kind of what we're still trying to figure out. You know, teacher town hall meeting doesn't quite sound like as savvy and up to date as we would want. So we're hunting for a good name. But the other part that we're going to do is some Facebook Live where they can write questions and we can do that and they don't have to give up their time. They can be at their son's practice, their daughter's dance, whatever, soccer game, and just be on their phone and really looking through that. So we've got some avenues to take these plans to really get down to, you know, the 1 foot view instead of being up here at the 20-foot view. So we're working on that.
That sounds good, because my concern is that we know the teachers in the classroom are the day-to-day key to making this work.
Okay.
And from my prior experience, pick a number out of it, if you don't have 70 to 80% of the teachers buying into this, it ain't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, but the other piece that I do want to make sure that our staff understands is that this is a roadmap and a goal, but I don't want them to see this as accountability or punitive if they don't reach it. But I do clearly believe in clear expectations and that our teachers should know what the goals are. And you can clearly see from some of the graphs that this is an incline they've been making, maybe not quite at the 4%. And there's some buildings that are surpassing the 4%. But it is something that without a roadmap, without a clear expectation, we're just kind of wandering and hoping. And so I think being strategic can really help Council Bluffs get to that next level.
There's also a way, Mr. Grove, for Dr. Murillo to hold me and my team accountable.
Sure. Second question. I think I asked this at the last meeting. I have no problem with using the FAST test as a member for whether a kid can decipher the printed word. And I asked last time, are we not measuring comprehension? Or that's just not going to be one of the things as part of this plan?
Yeah, the FAST also it monitors fluency, but it also uses comprehension, the A reading test, where they have to read a passage, and it goes after their rate for fluency. We are also, I think Dr. Murillo mentioned it at a previous meeting, we will also be looking at a new suite of district assessments to really look at how we can measure growth in reading over time. And I anticipate, depending on what the legislature and or State Board of Education and or State Assessment Task Force decides about what the new state assessment will be, we may update some of those measures to reflect a more updated assessment system in the future.
Well, I just don't want us to lose track of how important comprehension is.
And neither do we.
Yeah. Third question.
Yes.
Goal about the quality of the classroom instruction?
Yeah.
Is there a way to use that instead of what I call our cumbersome teacher evaluation system? Every year we approve these things and there's 500 pages of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a lot of needless work for a lot of our people.
We would agree wholeheartedly with you. One of the first things that Dr. Murillo tasked my team with doing was putting together a task force to look at our teacher growth and development system. That team actually met yesterday morning. It includes a broad cross-section of teachers from all grade levels.
Good.
And they are looking very closely at some really strong models that are much more professional based. We believe that there should be a tight crosswalk between what really good instruction looks like and a core instruction and what professional practice looks like. And we believe that Charlotte Danielson probably has done the best work in the business around it. And there's really not a reason for us to reinvent the wheel, but to take some of the hoop jumping out of the system and really focus more on having honest collegial conversations with people around performance and practice and providing strong support so that people feel confident in the work that they're doing.
It sounds
So
great.
You will see probably before the end of the year a recommendation for a revision to that way that we do teacher evaluation in Council Bluffs.
Great. Thank you.
Kyle, did you have any questions at this time? John?
I just had maybe looking for some clarification on
Sure.
the academic achievement piece. Why is it we're only looking at like K through 3 for reading proficiency and 8th grade for math? Or those are just to give us a benchmark?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we will obviously still bring you regular updates about how students are doing on the Scholastic Reading Inventory or the NWA MAP assessment or Iowa assessments, or ACT or AP. What we wanted to do is pick 2 very high profile grade levels or grade level spans and 2 really high profile tested areas to serve as kind of benchmarks for how we're doing. There's a lot of research. Belfons and others said that 8th grade math is kind of the linchpin for determining whether or not a student is going to graduate from high school. And you know very well, we've had lots of conversations around the importance of reading on grade level by 3rd grade. And the state has told us that we will use the FAST assessment to measure that. So we're trying to do what we believe is right as professionals and also honor our commitments to being in compliance with what the state has told us we need to do.
Any additional questions from board members?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We look forward to hearing great things from you in the future here.
Thank you, Dr. Borthman. Yes.
Next up, we have an informational presentation regarding the district website. And I guess we know who's going to talk about that.
Yes. Yes, Ms. Ostrowski is going to present progress that's being made on our district website. I am pretty excited about this. I can't wait to have our new website up for the public. And so I wanted Diane to come in tonight to give you guys like a little preview and see and get a little feedback from you and see what your thoughts are. If we push this out to many people to ask for feedback, we want to make sure we're not missing something. And I think you've gotten a lot of feedback that's really been helpful. So having more eyes on it, I think will only improve. So Ms. Ostrowski, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And good evening again. I'm looking forward to giving you a sneak peek, if you will, into a new website that we plan to launch at the end of winter break. We will have lots of eyes, as Dr. Murillo said, on this to make sure we're not missing anything. And then, as with any good tool, you can tweak it and improve it as you go. But we are pleased to know that this is one of our best communication tools. We have 15,000 monthly visits to our webpage, which could be surprising. Sometimes people coming back more often than once. 4,800 weekly visits and 1,200 daily visits. So again, we know that this is a tool, a resource for families who are looking to our community, employees who are maybe seeking jobs with us, and current families who need the resources that we have available for them on this site. I wanted to walk through just a little bit of some of the features that are an improvement over our current webpage. First of all, it's a more modern design with that full or more horizontal view. Our current one was designed, believe it or not, just 4 years ago, but those styles and whatnot are kind of outdated, and this new platform allows us to do some new things in a more attractive way. The other thing that we really we thought about when we wanted to engage in this is our desire to make sure that our website and our requirement that our website is compliant with ADA accessibility guidelines. And because this is designed with that in mind, we are able to achieve that compliance by going to this new format. And so I think that is that's a real positive rather than redoing a lot of the kinds of photos and content that we had on our existing site. Take one moment and give you that sneak peek. So this would be what our new Facebook page or new website would look like. I'm going to walk you through a few of the features and give you a couple of insights, as I say, into the kinds of things that are an upgrade from our. We've got, of course, up front and center, we have pictures of our kids. That's what we're about. I think nothing more exciting than seeing our kids in action and their smiles. Loving our community, Council Bluffs Community School District. We strategically placed some of the content areas that families might and others might want to know about our district right up here in the top bar. You can see. We have, as you scroll down the page, you're able to see that we have some quick links. See the search button, a quick link to our calendar, which is one of the pages that a lot of our families view. We know that through looking at our analytics of who visits our page and where they visit. A quick link to the Power School, our breakfast and lunch menus, which I think is almost #1 in terms of visits to our site. A section for our families who speak Spanish, and then a staff directory, which you can search by name and location. So that's a real nice upgrade. We have our district news, and embedded in the front page here is our upcoming events. So we have a calendar right there that says at a glance what's happening today and in the weeks to come. We also have a chance here to embed our social media feeds. So right here you can see what we've been featuring, and you can click on that and go to Twitter or to our Facebook page and see what's the latest. So for families who want a one-stop shop, they look at this, or they can look at our app and they can really find out what's happening in the district. We also have some quick links to some of our partners like the Community Ed Foundation and our Kids and Company, as well as a place to pay for your school meals. And so we just think that there's a lot of different places people can go to find what they need. Now I would like to dive oh yes, you bet. You bet. We have our contact information, our required disclaimers for non-discrimination, as well as accessibility. And then we have our links to our social media as well. So that's important to have. All right, so I thought that you might like to see one of the benefits of going to this new site is to help ensure that we are consistent across our departments and across our schools with the look and feel. So if you're a parent who has a student at Thomas Jefferson and a student at Rue, you have a chance to know kind of what to expect on each of the pages. Let's take a look at, and we can easily find them through this directory. If we go to Abraham Lincoln High School, each page will include a welcome statement. Of course, some resources along the side there, which are links to different pages. Each school page will have a scrolling slideshow, and we're going to keep populating these with fun photos of what's happening at that school level, as well as you saw on the front page. Pictures and contact information for school administration. and regular, contact information, including social media accounts. So we are in the process of building those now. And I promised, and we have one of our website managers from our schools in the audience. I promised them we wouldn't go to this, but it was too good to pass up. We have an opportunity to migrate the current content from our schools over to this new platform and just take care of it rather than waiting till the summer to do that. And I promised them that I'll provide that training that they need in order to manage and post information and news and resources on their school specific pages. We've got a great team of web managers out there in our buildings who help keep up and make sure their parents are in the know. I'd also like to share with you some of the new features of the Board of Education. You see along the left-hand side, we have our board policies. And for the first time, we're going to be able to search by more seamlessly by keyword, or we can take a look and we can look at all of the 100 or 200. Let's look at the 200. Those are the board policies. You can just go right to them and you click on them and it opens up the PDF document that you can read or download or print. Okay. Then we also have the ability to look at our meeting archives. And I'm going to, right here, I'll show you that I'm going to go to I'm going to push this down a little. We're going to go to the year 2017. And we'll see we've got all of our meetings, including tonight's that we've not yet populated. I'll show you for the November 14th meeting. You can go here and you can see the minutes of that meeting, just kind of on one page. It's an upgrade to our current page, which is a little bit more cumbersome. You could also go straight to the video, which will pull up the YouTube video for that meeting. So again, we feel like this is a great way to design and to put into one nice package the kinds of resources that we know families and others like to see. On the homepage, to wrap up, I'd love to, on this little tour into the site, and I've just got a couple final comments, but we've got this very obvious translate button. And let's go to Spanish. Pardon me for scrolling here, because we do have our Spanish-speaking community, and you can see now that all of the words on this existing page have been translated by Google into Spanish. And it's not perfect, but it is a way for families who visit us who aren't English-speaking to be able to navigate through the site. And then when they go to the En Español site, they'll have the forms and the letters and the resources that we have translated as a district into Spanish for them to use. Google Translate wouldn't just translate those for us. We load them that way, and that works just great. So we're pleased that that is a little bit more of an obvious feature and something that I think our families will appreciate. So next steps. We are going to work hard over the next 3 weeks to complete the migration of all the content on all of our pages, both department level and building level, and test the site, make sure it's working properly, and complete training. We will also launch, as I say, by January 4th, and then promote the new site and get people excited about visiting it, finding what they need, and we'll continue to monitor the visits that we get and add new content to make it fresh and exactly what people need. Open to any comments or discussion or ideas.
Quick question.
Sure.
When you talk about the number of hits the website has, can you break that down to like how many people access the Spanish site?
We sure can. You bet.
Do you know what that's traditionally how many that's been?
I didn't look at that specifically. Might have to pull that up.
Just curious.
I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
But we do have the capability to do that.
We do, because we can see the click-through rates from our homepage to each individual page. And besides the menus, we know that people really visit our careers page, which is great, as well as our high schools and middle schools. Those probably have the most traffic, but we can dig down and find out how many people are visiting that Spanish page, and that's good. We knew it was something we wanted to feature right on the homepage, no matter what. But that would be good data, and also it'd be good data to see how it increases based on this this new, the new ability to more obviously translate the site in its entirety into Spanish or any other language. Yeah.
So 3-4 years from now, we'll do it again, huh?
We might, I
Revise
don't
the
know.
website.
This is.
Good work.
Thank you.
Just have one question. Every year, it seems like there's an organization that looks at all of the districts in the state of Iowa and reviews our websites or the district's websites and grades us on how transparent we are at those documents and forms that are on our website. Will we be able to be more compliant or at least meet what they're looking for when they review our website?
Oh, well,
I can't remember what
Yeah, well,
organization it is, but
Well, right, and having the budget on there and
right,
having.
and that's typically
yeah,
what they in the past, that's what they've got us for. We don't have the budget, or we don't have this, that, or the other thing, and so we get a poor score because we're not transparent in letting our taxpayers see what the budget is.
No, I haven't
or
seen
what
one of
our
those
spending
reports in a
is.
while, but that's a good reminder for us to maybe revisit that, make sure that as we're starting fresh, that we have all those components on there. I know we have the audit on our existing one as well as the budget and other key indicators. So we will, and of course, with our annual report published and some extra detail on our website related to the annual report, we cover a lot of those particular items. I think we got a B+ or an A, I think, the last time. So if we continue to migrate everything over and pay close attention to that, we should continue to score high if they're still doing it. Good point. Thanks for the reminder on that, though.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing
The launch, huh?
the new launch here.
And I would, if I could, thank Daniel Stinman, who's the communication specialist. He's like a whiz. He can migrate content to 3 or 4 pages by the time I get one done. So I'm getting faster, but he's been a trooper and he'll help make this happen. So thanks to
Okay.
him and the tech team for whatever they have to do behind the scenes to shift the URL to this new site.
Okay, we're at that point in the meeting where we have our resolutions. First up is Chapter 12 exemption request for physical education. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the request to the Iowa Department of Education for an exemption from Chapter 12 requiring year-long physical education in grades 9 through 12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, before us, we have a resolution to ask for an exemption request for physical education. Mr. Wilson, would you please take the roll?
And you can vote online after I call your name. Dr. Ogres,
Yes.
Mr. Minshall,
Yes.
Mr. McGlade,
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla,
Yes.
Mr. Grove,
Yes.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes. And the motion carries. Next up, we have our next resolution for request for allowable growth for dropout prevention.
Move approval of a request for dropout prevention modified allowable growth of $3,071,864 for the 2018-19 school year.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to request for allowable growth for dropout prevention. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Wilson, will you please take the roll?
Mr. LaFurla,
Yes.
Mr. Grove,
Yes.
Dr. Ogres,
Yes.
Mr. Minshall,
Yes.
Mr. McGlade,
Yes.
and Mr. Kazire.
Yes. And the motion carries. Before us next, we have our consent agenda. Included in that is a board approval of the contracts for students placed outside of Council Bluffs School District. We would like to gratefully acknowledge and accept the monetary gift from Rod Roden Foundation. We have the personnel agenda, purchasing card expenditures, expenditure report, and I reviewed the claims and warrants. So do we have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve our consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Wilson, would you please call the roll?
Yeah, for some reason, online voting is not happening. Mr. LaFurla,
Yes.
Mr. Minchell,
Yes.
Dr. Ogres,
Yes.
Mr. McGlade,
Yes.
Mr. Grove,
Yes.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes, and the motion carries. With that, we've met all of our assignments for the evening, and if there is no objection, we are adjourned.